In a city known as Argentum, the people were famous for their intricate glass hearts. These hearts hung outside their clothes, glowing with light. When someone complimented you, your heart would brighten. But when someone was rude, cruel, or ungrateful, the glass would crack, and the light would dim. Julian was a young artisan in Argentum. He was a kind man, but he was exhausted. Every day he encountered throwers, people who seemed to take pleasure in shattering the peace of others. There was the neighbor who constantly complained, the colleague who took credit for Julian's work, and the stranger who shouted at him for no reason. Julian spent all his nights trying to glue the pieces of his heart back together. He felt like a victim of everyone else's bad mood. One day, Julian walked to the center of the city, where a massive, ancient statue of a man in armor stood. This was the statue of Marcus, the emperor, philosopher. Legend said that Marcus was the only person in history whose heart was never made of glass, but of something far stronger. As Julian sat at the base of the statue, he heard a voice, not from the air, but from within his own mind. It was a fragment of an old text. Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. Julian looked up in surprise. But why, Marcus? Why must I accept that people are so difficult? The statue didn't move, but the wisdom flowed. They are this way, the voice whispered, because they cannot tell the difference between good and evil. They are blind in their souls. But you have seen the beauty of the good. Therefore, none of them can truly harm you. Julian realized his first mistake. He expected the world to be filled with polite people. He was shocked every time someone was toxic. Marcus was teaching him the power of anticipation. If you know the storm is coming, you don't blame the clouds, you simply put on your cloak. The best revenge, the voice continued, is to be unlike him who performed the injury. This was Julian's epiphany. Whenever someone was rude, Julian's first instinct was to be rude back. He thought he was defending himself, but he was actually letting the other person decide who he was. If a toxic person makes you toxic, they haven't just hurt you. They have conquered you. Marcus knew that the mind is an internal fortress. In his journals, he wrote that things cannot touch the soul. A person can shout at you, lie to you, or ignore you, but they cannot force you to be angry. They cannot force you to lose your sanctuary of peace. Your reaction is the only place where you have absolute sovereignty. Julian decided to try a new practice. The next morning, when his neighbor began his usual bitter complaining, Julian didn't let his glass heart dim. Instead, he looked at his neighbor with a sense of benevolence. He saw a man who was suffering from the poison of his own thoughts. He told himself, this man is hurting himself far more than he is hurting me. Why should I be angry at a person who is blind? Suddenly, Julian felt a surge of control. He wasn't a victim anymore. He realized that toxic people are like a fire. If you give them the wood of your anger, they grow. But if you give them nothing but your calm indifference, they eventually flicker out. This is the secret Marcus Aurelius left for us. We cannot control the throwers of the world. There will always be people who are ungrateful, selfish, or mean. That is the nature of the human forest. But you are the architect of your own soul. You can choose to build your house out of glass, or you can choose to build it out of the wisdom of the emperor. When you stop expecting the world to be kind, you finally find the strength to be kind yourself. You stop being a reactive reflection of other people's darkness and start being a source of your own light. Tonight, think about the person who consumes your energy. Ask yourself, why am I giving them the keys to my fortress? Take the keys back. Close the gates. Realize that their behavior is their burden, not yours. Your peace is too sacred to be traded for someone else's chaos. Be like the mountain that Marcus described. The waves may beat against it, but it stands firm, and the water around it eventually sinks into rest.